So, Mr. Rudra, this is the second part of QP43. It's part 2. Now, in part 2, the first question that we need to do is question number 8, A part. The interior angle of a regular polygon with n sides is 150 degree. Calculate the value of n. Now, there are few basic things that we need to understand before we start doing this question. The first is, it is a regular polygon. Because it's a regular polygon, therefore, two things that you need to remember. One is, all the sides would be equal, and the second would be all the angles would be equal. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No,
Mr.
sir.
The second thing that you need to understand about any polygon, this is not regarding a regular polygon. If you take any polygon, the number of sides of any polygon are equal to the number of angles. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
So, for example, if we need to take any, let us take some random examples. For example, I take a triangle, or I take a rectangle, or let us say that I take a polygon like this. So it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a pentagon. Now, the basic, there are few basic properties of polygon which are true for any polygon. So one would be the number of sides is 3, therefore the number of angles is 3. The number of sides is 4, therefore the number of angles are 4. The number of sides are 5, therefore the number of angles are 5. And that is why we need to understand that for any polygon, the number of sides would be equal to number of angles. This is true for any polygon. And for a regular polygon, all the sides are equal and all the angles are equal. This is true for a regular polygon. Now, there are two ways in which we can do this question, because we have two formulas. One is the interior angle formula. The interior angle formula says that the sum of interior angles of a polygon is n minus 2 into 180 degree. Mr. Rudra, you need to cram this. Now, in this case, if the interior angle of a regular polygon with end sides is 150 degree, so let us assume this is the, let us assume, because we are not sure, let us assume that this is the regular polygon that we have. So, if each angle is 150 degree, if each angle is 150 degree, so this would be 150 degree, this would be 150 degree, this would be 150 degree. Now, let us assume that the number of sides are n, therefore, the sum of interior angles of this polygon would be equal to n times 150. Mr. Rudra, any doubt here?
No, sir.
And of course, this would be equal to n minus 2 into 180. And when I solve this, I'll get the value of n, which is equal to 12. So this is the answer that I'll get. Now, this is the first way of doing this using the interior angle formula. There is another way of doing this question where I use the exterior angle formula. The exterior angle formula simply says that the interior angle, exterior angle, okay. The formula is that for a polygon, the exterior angle formula is that for a polygon, 360 degree upon n, 360 degree upon n is equal to the exterior angle. Now this is true for a regular polygon. This is the formula that I have. This is the exterior angle formula. Now, one of the property that I have is that for a polygon, the interior angle plus exterior angle, interior angle plus exterior angle would be equal to 180 degree. Mr. Rudra, any doubt here?
No, sir.
Now, this is true for a triangle. This is say true for a rectangle also. So if I take this as a rectangle, this is the interior angle, this is the exterior angle. The interior angle plus exterior angle would be 180 degree. And if you think further, this property would be true for any triangle. So for example, if I have a scalene triangle, here also the interior angle plus exterior angle would be 180 degree. that implies that this fundamental property, interior angle plus exterior angle is equal to 180 degree. This is true for any polygon. Any polygon. So it can be an irregular polygon also. Irregular polygon also. So all you need to take care is that the property that you are using, whether it is true for a regular polygon or is it true for any irregular polygon also. So this property, and the sum of interior plus exterior angle is equal to 180 degree. This is true for any polygon. Now, if the interior angle is 150 degree, the exterior angle would be 30 degree. Why? Because sum of angles is 180, so I get the exterior angle to be 30 degree. So for this regular polygon, each exterior angle would be equal to 30 degree. Mr. Rudra, are you getting confused?
No, sir.
So then I use a standard regular polygon exterior angle formula. That 360 degree by n is equal to each exterior angle. So 360 degree by n is equal to exterior angle. Therefore, 360 degree by n is equal to exterior angle is 30 degree. And I get the value of n to be 12, which is the same as I got here. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Rudra. So in the second part, KLM are points on the circle. KS is a tangent to the circle at K. So KS is a tangent to the circle at K. KM is a diameter. So KM is a diameter. KLM is isosceles. So this angle would be equal to, this side would be equal to this side. And because it's an isosceles triangle, so this angle should be equal to this angle. Now there are 2-3 properties that we'll be using here. One is that tangent is perpendicular to the diameter. So I understand that this angle would be equal to 90 degree because Ks is the tangent and Km is the diameter. Ks is the tangent and Km is the diameter. Angle made by the diameter on circle is 90 degree. Mr. Rudra, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So if this Km is the diameter, then the angle this diameter would be making on the circle would be 90 degree. Okay, this is the second property I should be clear about. As a matter of fact, if this is 90 and this is an isosceles triangle, so this would be 45 degree and this would be 45 degree. Now, when this is 90 degree and this is 45 degree, therefore this would be 45 degree and my answer Z would be 45 degree. So, is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Let us look at the next question. AT is a tangent to the circle at A. AT is a tangent to the circle at A. Find the value of x. Okay. Now, in one of the theorems, it is usually used as a theorem, but if you want to see the proof of this theorem, what the theorem says is that if there is a tangent AT, so there is a tangent AT, this tangent AT is making a certain angle 58 degree with the chord AY. This chord AY on the opposite side of this tangent, that is on this side, the angle that it would be making on a circle would be the same as this angle. So if this is 58 degree, then this angle would be 58 degree and this angle would be 58 degree. So is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Let us try to see the proof of this theorem. So this is my tangent AT, this is my chord AY, this is the angle that it is making 58 degree. Now by construction, I draw AP as a diameter. Now because AP is a diameter, this is my construction. This AP as a diameter is my construction. So this diameter, when I join to this chord AY, this angle would be 90 degree. Any confusion about this?
No, sir.
Okay. Now if I join A with X, This is the line that I've drawn. And then I join x with p. X with p. Now, x, p, y, a is my cyclic quadrilateral. This diameter AP would be making 90 degree on this side also. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, if I consider chord PY, chord PY would be making 32 degree here, and it would be making 32 degree here, because this angle on the same side of the circle. So this angle would be equal to this angle, this angle. Any confusion?
No, sir.
So if this is 32 degree and the hole is 90 degree, so this will be 58 degree. And that is what I wanted to prove, that if there is a tangent, I'll repeat, if there is a chord and a tangent and they are making an angle theta between them, then the chord on an opposite side of the tangent would be making the same angle theta. Any confusion?
No, sir.
So if I label this as A, P, Y, and I label this as X, and we also understand that this chord AY would be making the same angle here also. So I can, label this as P, and the same angle would be theta. So this is 58 degree. This is 58 degree in this triangle. In this triangle, let me name this triangle. Okay, so this is 58 degree. This is 58 degree. So this is 58 degree. This is 58 degree. Now this is 27 degree. So 58 plus 27 would be 85 degree. The remaining angle that I have is 95 degree. So this angle would be 95 degree. Same would be here also 95 degree. Now this hole would be making a 180 degree. So this x degree, 58 degree plus x degree, I'm sorry, this angle is 95 degree. 95 degree, 95 degree, 95 degree plus x degree would be equal to 180 degree. Therefore, x degree would be equal to 180 degree minus 95 degree, and that would be equal to 85 degree. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
Let us do the next question. So first thing that you need to understand is that this JHGF is a cyclic quadrilateral. Now, if it is cyclic quadrilateral, then the opposite angles, sum of opposite angles, would be 180 degree. Now, if this is 108 degree, this would be 72 degree because it makes a linear pair. Now, if this is 72 degree, this needs to be 108 degree because of this property. This line is parallel to this line. So if this is 108 degree, the remaining angle that I have is 72 degree. So this will be 72 degree. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So A, B, C, D are points on the circle with center O. M is a midpoint of AB and N is a midpoint of CD. This is a midpoint of AB. Therefore, this line would be equal to this. N is a midpoint of CD. Therefore, DN would be equal to NC. OM is equal to ON. Okay. OM is equal to ON. Mr. Rudra, is it clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Now, OD is equal to OC is equal to OA is equal to OB is equal to radius. So, if I consider triangle OAM and triangle OMP, This side is equal to this side. This side is equal to this side. This side is common. So by SSS, these two triangles are congruent. If they are congruent, then this angle would be equal to this angle. And we understand that 2 theta is 180 degree. Therefore, theta needs to be 90 degree. Therefore, this angle is actually 90 degree. Mr. Rudra, any doubt about this?
No, sir.
Similarly, you can prove that this is 90 degree. So, I come to this conclusion. Let us see what I have proved finally. I come to this conclusion. If I want to put it neatly, that this triangle is congruent to this and this triangle is congruent to this. Any confusion about this?
No, sir.
This is radius, this is radius. Now, if I consider triangle OAM and triangle O and D, now both the triangles are congruent. Why? Because there is a right triangle, there is a hypotenuse, and this is a side because OM is equal to ON. So by RHS, this triangle is congruent to this triangle. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Therefore, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the triangles are congruent, and that is why the big triangles OAB, this big triangle is congruent to this big triangle. Next question. The equation of line is find the gradient of the line. The standard formula for the gradient of line is y is equal to mx plus c. M is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. So I need to reduce this equation. I need to reduce this equation in the format of this. And when I do basic algebra, I will get the slope of this line to be 3 by 8 and the y-intercept to be 5 by 2. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
So the gradient of the line is 3 by 8. Okay. And find the coordinates of the point where the line L cuts the y-axis. That means I need the c-intercept. The c-intercept is 5 by 2. So this would be the case where this line L would be cutting the y-axis at the point 0, 5 by 2. Any confusion?
No, sir.
The coordinates of P and the coordinates of Q are this basic distance formula I need to use. Now, while calculating distance formula, usually it is written as y2 minus y1 square plus x2 minus x1 square or vice versa. But what you need to understand is that this is equivalent to saying that y1 minus y2 square plus x1 minus x2 square. For a simple reason that the squares would be equal to each other. So then it doesn't matter that whether you put y2 minus y1 or you put y1 minus y2. And when I calculate this, the answer is 15.62 units. This is the length of PQ. Find the equation of the line parallel to PQ that passes through the point 6, minus 1. Now, PQ is this line. We need the equation of this line. Some line which is parallel to PQ. Now, if these two lines are parallel, so the slopes would be same. So first, I need to find the slope of PQ. When I need to find the slope of PQ, I will be using this formula, y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
And when I put this formula, the slope that I get is minus 5 by 6. So the slope of the line, this question mark line, slope I have got to be minus 5 by 6. Now the standard equation of a line for which I have a slope and which is passing through points x1, y1 is y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. Mr. Rudra, you need to cram this standard equation. Y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. So now all I need to do is put my value of m here. This is my value of m. I need to put the value of x1 y1. This is my x1 y1, and when I solve it, I will get the answer. The next part is find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of PQ. So this is P, this is Q. Perpendicular bisector. The property of a perpendicular bisector is that it is at 90 degree and it also bisects the line. So this point R, this would be my perpendicular bisector AB. Now this perpendicular bisector has two properties. One is that this point R would be midpoint of PQ. For finding the midpoint R, all I need to do is put the midpoint formula minus 3 plus 9 upon 2 and 8 minus 2 upon 2. The answer that I will get is 6 upon 2 is 3, 8 minus 2 is 3. So this is my midpoint. This is my midpoint. The second property that I need is that this is perpendicular, and for finding the slope of this line AB, I will be using this formula that m1 into m2 is minus 1. What this means is that if two lines are perpendicular to each other, the product of their slopes is minus 1. I have the slope of this line PQ, that is minus 5 by 6. I will find the value of m2, which will be equal to 6 by 5. What this means is that the equation of my line AB would be 6 by 5. So, is there any doubt?
No, sir.
So finally, I have the slope. I have the point through which the line is going, which is 3, 3. So I put in this standard formula y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. Mr. Rudra, both of these are very important formulas. One is y is equal to mx plus c. Other is y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. And one of the very important properties of this chapter is that if two lines are perpendicular to each other, the product of their slopes is minus 1. So is there any doubt about this?
No, sir.
And of course, then there are basic distance formula that you should remember. Midpoint, find the midpoint of a line joining 2 points, that you should also be well aware of. So the midpoint would be x1 plus x2 by 2, comma y1 plus y2 upon 2. So write down each function. So the first step I need to do is find the slope. For finding the slope, I will be using y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Once I have found the slope, then I can use the standard formula y is equal to mx plus c. I have the slope. I can see the y-intercept here. This is my y-intercept, which is equal to 5. So my equation would be y is equal to x plus 5. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Now I need to look at the graph carefully. This seems to be a sine graph. Yes, that is correct. But then if you look at these points, the interesting conclusion that you will get is that in this graph, the value of sin x is getting multiplied by 2. Any doubt about this?
No, sir.
So the equation of the graph would be 2 sine x. It remains sine x because at 180 degree the value is 0. Again at 360 the value is 0. But the only thing is that the amplitude is getting multiplied by twice at every point. Now, in this final question, the question is pretty simple. By drawing a suitable tangent, find the estimate of the gradient of the function at point P. The question is pretty simple. So, if you, for example, try to zoom in, you will be able to easily find the slope. The slope is, this seems to be 2 by 3. But the interesting thing that they have done is that here, each unit on the y-axis, that is every box on the y-axis is equal to 1 by 10. How did I find that? This is 1 unit and it is divided into 10 parts. Mr. Rudra, any doubt about this?
No, sir.
But if you see the x-axis, then each block on the x-axis, 1 unit has been divided into 20 parts. 10 parts till here and 20 parts till here. So when I have to find the gradient, what I need to take care is that when I say 2 units on y and 3 units on x, so here 1 unit is 1 by 10 and here 1 unit is 1 by 20. So is there any doubt?
No, sir.
So finally the answer would be 4 by 3. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
Mr. Rudra, rest of the questions we'll do in part C. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay.